Hey, this is Anastasia Lee with CombatAce.com. Today we're interviewing Kim Crow, the first woman to have her voice digitized. She's the original Bitchin' Betty for a number of aircraft, including some of the first space shuttles launched by NASA. Ms. Crow also received an Emmy nomination for her role in Echoes of the Holocaust. It's a great honor to do this interview with her, and I hope all of you will enjoy hearing her amazing tale. To get started, what inspired you to become a voice actress?
I made a decision in 8th grade to be an actor because I thought it would be the hardest thing I could be. You'd have to be, if you were portraying a secretary, you'd have to know all secretarial skills. If you were a detective, you'd have to know how to analyze clues and be proficient in criminology. So I had this great expectation for a career. And that's primarily because my father was a rocket engineer and my mother was basically a psychic social worker, but literally. So I was raised in an atmosphere that said you can be anything or do anything. And you must give as much as you receive, if not more.
Interesting. So, what were some of the events that led up to you becoming the first woman to have her voice digitized?
To be an actor was, I thought, the hardest thing I could be. I started really getting the bug. First I chose acting, then acting chose me. This happened through high school, and later, of course, intensively training at Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C. as one of Father Hartke's kids. And then also having a sabbatical from Catholic U and training with Robin Barbary of RADA and taking other courses at the University of London. Now, an actor's tools are voice, body, and imagination. So being a voice actress, I thought was part and parcel with being a film actress, a stage actress. There was never any segregation. Way back when, in prehistory, we had wonderful things like government intervention in the arts that would help support you. One of those things was called a CETA grant, Comprehensive Educational Training Act, which was actually, I think, signed into law by President Nixon, but it was Jimmy Carter who did the rollout. This Comprehensive Educational Training Act, for those of us who were in school in the early 70s, we had an Arab oil embargo and a recession, and it was kind of dicey economically. So the government said, well, let's roll out a training program so people who have a really minuscule chance of finding a job in their profession can be retrained. So consequently, all of the actors of my generation who'd just gotten out of school said, wow, that means I have the tap shoes and perhaps an arts council or another venue, they would have the barn. So I approached the Arts Council I was living in Huntsville, Alabama, a rocket city at the time, and we came up with a CETA grant for 6 professionals to start a year-round professional rep company in Alabama. That company is still in existence.
Oh, wow.
It merged with the Children's Theater there, and a lot of people got their start because of this government program. It's now called Theater Huntsville. Our staff photographer, our volunteer staff photographer at Twickenham Rep was this wonderful gentleman by the name of Sandy Scalco, God rest him, who was an aerospace engineer, as everyone is kind of an aerospace engineer in Huntsville, Alabama. And he not only took the most marvelous photographs of our rehearsals and our productions, but he was kind of one of our tribe. He came to me one day and he said, Kim, could you do me a favor at work? And I said, Sandy, I'd be delighted. And so we went to his office at a company called SCI, which is no longer in existence. It was bought out ages ago. And he took me to a boardroom and he said, could you say these bits of vocabulary into the tape recorder? And it turned out that the pipes digitized beautifully. Voices had not been digitized before. Here's an overview. At this time, we were trying to get to Mars. We were also rolling out an entire new generation of fighter planes. with all of this sophisticated equipment, you're going to have a system malfunction every 2.5 hours, they determined.
My gosh.
They also determined planes in combat situations, the pilot reaction time would be too slow to continue on with idiot lights or cockpit lights as a warning system. The last sense that leaves you is your aural sense, your hearing. And as all the pilots of that time were men, they determined that in order to get a pilot's attention, immediate attention, a woman's voice would be theoretically perfect for this. Girlfriend, wife, mother, whatever.
Right.
That would get the pilot's immediate attention because the reaction time then would be immediate. If a pilot took the voice's command and did it, his chances would be greatly increased of saving his life. At the same time as these planes were being rolled out, we were trying to get to Mars. We had the Mars mission on the books. Funding is always a problem in going into outer space. So NASA was, in essence, piggybacking, dovetailing productions of a voice recognition system, VRS, for the satellites they were about to deploy, ComSats, the communication system from the Earth to Mars. So at the time, the feeling was, okay, I'm a pilot, I'm going to Mars. I hop in my cockpit, I turn on the ignition. The computer would say, well, hi there, Bill. How are you today? Did you have a nice cup of coffee? I know you take it black. All the personality factors of the pilots would be in the computer. So you'd have this friendly artificial voice, but imperative, talking you through not only monitoring your vehicle status, but also uplink along the way to the communication satellites, the ComSats, so you could have communication with Houston, Vandenberg, the whole 9 yards. Computer would recognize pilot or mission commander's voice, would answer in my voice, and we could pay for that by dovetailing the technology along with the F-15, F-16, F-18, Harriers, AV-8B, and all of those systems rolling out. So that was the general atmosphere, and that's kind of how my voice became the first to be digitized. Pure luck, but I was very proud that I was using my degree because mom and dad, had to sacrifice, of course, to get to college and to be an actor. It was like, oh no, why can't you do comedy?
Right.
Have something that, you might earn a living. So that, in essence, was the beginning of the voice acting.